bright face. What a wonderful sleep. The soul Om Nilambujasyyamal Komalangam Sita Samaropita Vamabhagam Panau Maha Sayakacharu Chapam Namami Ramam Raghuvanshanatham. Adorations to Lord Rama, whose complexion is like a blue lotus, very tender and delightful in appearance. Sita is seated on his left side, and he is carrying a powerful bow and arrow in his hands. Shri Ramcharitmanas, the Ramayana by Saint Tulsidas, Ayodhya Kanda, and verse number is 43. It's a suspenseful stage of Rama's story, and that is King Dasharatha has given two boons to his wife Kaikeyi. The boons were given long ago, but Kaikeyi had kept it in reserve. And now she has asked for those boons. First boon, Rama to go into forest, at least for 14 years. And Bharata to rule over Ayodhya. First, King Dasharatha thought Kaikeyi was joking. But the moment he realized he was not joking, he started choking. He became unconscious. Gai murchara mahi sumiri nipafiri kara vatalin sachiva rama agaman kahi vinaya samana samaya samakin. At this stage, Sumant, the minister, private minister or close minister of King Dasharatha, has come along with Rama. And King Dasharatha comes to normal consciousness, opens his mouth, his tongue, saying Ram, Ram, Ram. And having said, he changes his side. He is still on his couch, lying down. Minister Sumantra informed him that Sri Rama has arrived. Avanipa akani Ramu pagudhare, dhari dhiraj tab nayana ughare. When Raja the king heard that Rama has come, he summoned his courage within his heart and opened his eyes. Seeing his eyes open, the minister helped him to sit up. Nursing job. And Rama bowed down to his feet, touched his feet, and the king beheld Rama, saw Rama. Liye saneha bikala uralai, gay mani manahu panika phiri ai. His heart melting with love, the king enfolded Rama to his heart, as if snake has found its jewel. That relates to ancient stories about snakes, or probably there are snakes that hold something jewel like a stone. And when they have to hunt, they bring that down and go on hunting. And that little jewel gives them tremendous joy. If they are separated, it's worse than death. But don't go into that biological story. The main point, King Dasharatha felt extreme agony that this beloved Rama has to go away because he has given boon to Kaikeyi. A terrible separation. He went on looking at Rama without saying anything. Only tears went on flowing from his eyes. शोक विवश कछुक है न पारा, हृदय लगावत बारही बारा. Pressured by grief, the king could not utter a word. Before he could utter, he simply pushes Rama to his heart again and again. And internally, he offers prayer to Brahma, the creator. O creator, do something that Rama does not go into the forest. Sumiri mahe sahi kahai nahi nihori, vinati sunahu sada shiva mori. And then he turns his mind to Lord Shiva. And pleads, O Sadashiva, listen to my prayer. Ashutosha tumha avagdhara dani, arati harahu deen janu jani. You are called Ashutosh. Ashutosh means one who becomes pleased very quickly. You see, pray, you don't have to wait. He becomes immediately pleased. But you have to be careful. You are doing a wrong prayer. In his pleasure, he will give you what you want. All these subtle details that we worship Lord Vishnu, he will not give you immediately. He will send a Narada to discover. I'm joking. He will give you what is suitable, what is needed by you, not what you ask. There are two stages of spiritual movement. One stage of spiritual movement, you are working with your mental impurities. So you don't know what is your real desire. There, same God is playing the role of Vishnu. He will not be granted. Another level, jnana level. In that level, the very prayer that arises from your heart is in tune with God's will. So, even before you are praying, God has already arranged the fulfillment of what you are praying. This point is brought out allegorically. If you are not qualified to be in that stage, then the quality of Shiva to give you boon or blessing without any consideration of whether you deserve it or not, that becomes a kind of a curse. That becomes a big challenge. That's what in Mahabharata you hear the story of Draupadi, who was a divine personality, practiced austerity in her previous births, and wanted to have a good match, good husband. But she describes 5 qualities of the husband, one after another. And Shiva says, you will have 5 husbands. Figure that out. All these are subtle points. तुम प्रेरक सबके हृदय सोमति राम ही देहु बचन मोर तजित रहि घर परिहरि शील सनेहु. King Dasharatha is praying to Lord Shiva that please inspire Rama. Give him that type of understanding that he should not follow my command. And giving up his righteousness, apparent righteousness, and good manners, he should assert he is the king, he should stay in Ayodhya. As the story moves on, what you are being given is 2 ways of looking at a situation. The situation that is presented by Ramayana at this stage is profound state of transition, soul moving away from the world of moha for removing ignorance. Ignorance is Ravana, the big demon. Just to remind you, Rama and four brothers are four yogas. Shatrughna is karma yoga, karma that destroys your impurities. Impurities, anger, hate, greed, all these are enemies. Shatrughna karma, action that you do in daily life. If it is done in a right way, karma becomes karma yoga. That's the role of Shatrughna. As karma yoga advances, you begin to develop purity of feeling. When feeling is purified, you begin to have a deeper understanding of love. You are not loving you are not loving people around you. People, objects of the world, money, so many things are loved by people. Behind your love, the source of love is God. So, your attachment to objects begin to diminish and you begin to develop love for God. Put it attachment to God. That's called bhakti. And a type of attachment that goes on increasing. Ordinary attachment is associated with hatred. But the moment purity of heart develops, your fascination for God, being drawn to God, that goes on increasing. Prosperity encourages you to go Godwards. Adversity gives you no choice but to move to God. So that role is played by Bharata, bhakti, devotion, turning your feeling into Godward love. And Lakshmana plays the role of meditation, what's presented in Raja Yoga, mind and all its, how to handle the mind by developing willpower, but will that gets attuned to God's will. In that process, you begin to develop divine virtues. The very word Lakshmana, the shorter term Lakshana, characteristics. So as you go on developing virtues of charity, generosity, humility, absence of anger, forgiveness, compassion. As you go on developing all these qualities, you are paving the way to wisdom. Wisdom implying your intellect turns into intuitional transformation. Intuitive intellect, by intuitional vision, one realizes I am not the body, I am Brahman. Realizing God is not like realizing some packets have come from the post and you open it and realize what it is. It's not like that. More seriously, it is not the fruit of karma. Karma creates situations as a led by karmic fruit. It's a revelation. So, all these four together becomes integral yoga. But Ramayana is giving you profounder role of each aspect of the yoga through four aspects of God, divine incarnation, Rama, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrughna. Now, Dasharatha's plan to let Rama become the ruler and let Ayodhya enjoy his royal presence, that was untimely. You have the four factors, but if you develop the idea, let me go to an ashram that promises liberation first, sadhana after. That will be a negative, that can be foolish movement. In the it's normal for human mind to have the challenge of moha. Moha, the way you love things in the world, makes you cozy. But you never realize the way you love is a source of boundless troubles. You are cozy in a river with cozy crocodiles. How long cozy can you be? That's the world of moha. And in that coziness, when suddenly someone develops an attitude that let me get out of this cozy world, I want to attain enlightenment. That time of development is viewed by others as something negative. And the idea of being separated from that cozy atmosphere, that's very painful. Simple way to understand, in order to evolve in a spiritual way, you face challenges. Challenges are your own moha, your deluded way of love has to be overcome and sublimated. You should not be trapped by your own egoistic way of loving things. That's how Gita begins, Arjuna Vishada Yoga. Krishna says Arjuna to fight. And Arjuna looks around and sees everybody is lovable. Whom to fight with? The very great generals of the army, they have been loving relations. And Krishna went on telling Arjuna how to handle all that, not to be deluded by moha, deluded sense of values and relationships. This point is brought out at this stage. King Dasharatha's love is at this stage drowned in the mud puddle of moha. He wants Rama to stay with him. But if that were so, then Rama will not be the Rama that we worship. The entire Ramayana wouldn't be written. Ajasu ho jag sujasu nasau naraka parau aru varu surupuru jau sab dukha dusaha dusaha vahu mohi lochana ota ram janu hohi. King Dasharatha at this stage says this is the language of moha, and the purpose behind it, not to go after history. Did King Dasharatha really have that grief? Don't worry about that. But the moral is, understand, don't handle your life and challenges in life with a mind overpowered by moha. Your mind is not exactly seeing what is good for you. And this is the language of moha. What he says, by holding Rama close to him and by breaking his word given to Kaikeyi that Rama will go to the forest, naturally it was against the laws of righteousness. So King Dasharatha says, may I lose by that fame of being very true to my word. Or may I go to hell. Or heaven. Whatever. May I be subjected to the utmost form of trouble. But let not Rama go out of my vision. This state of mind is description of dull mind, banda buddhi. Dull mind caused by moha, deluded love. That's where you must start from this stage. असबन गुण इराऊ नहीं बोला पीपर पात सरिस मन डोला. And all this is coming in his mind. He has not said anything. He is simply holding Rama and his mind is working. While he is thinking in that way, his mind is shaking. Like the people leaf. It's a very glossy leaf. It shakes and shivers. And Rama realized that father is not saying any word. Kaikeyi is going to erupt. And that will give more trouble to him. So before Kaikeyi were to say words, Rama himself wanted to prevent that negative occurrence that was to happen. देश काल अवसर अनुसारी बोले बचन विनीत बिचारी. According to the time, according to the type of moment and situation, Sri Rama spoke, "O beloved father, forgive me for expressing my words before you. Consider me a child, so even without your command, I am saying something. अति लघु बात लागी दुख पावा, काहू न मोहि कही प्रथम जनावा." The boon, referring to the boon that Kaikeyi had asked, that Rama is to go to forest. Implying that message, Rama says, "O father, for such a small thing, you have put yourself in such terrible affliction. Why didn't you have me told before?" In other words, without making all this sorrowful situation, you have just conveyed to me and I would just go to the forest. It's something very simple. Laghu. Again, subtle point behind it. Turning away from worldly values to attaining enlightenment is the most difficult task for the world. But all worldly values, all worldly progress is described in scriptural terms. Laghu, laghu means little. Rama is not in the stage of ordinary people. So Rama views this situation that is sending him into forest for infinite bliss, bhuma. Because that was the forest project for Rama, is ultimately for Rama to destroy ignorance. That in that project, if the soul has entered that project, two ways to look at it, he's going to miss all the fun of the world. But the fun of the world is funny. Doesn't have any substance. So he's not going to miss anything. What he is going to miss is alpam, little. What he is going to get is boundless. Rama presents that view. And then he tells King Dasharatha that this is such a small matter. You should be happy. देखी गोसाई पूछ्यूं माता, सुनि प्रसंग भय सीता लगाता. Seeing you in this condition, I already asked the mother what you are going to say. And when I heard from her your command, my entire body became cool. I was filled with joy. मंगल समय स्नेह बस सोच परिहरियतात आयसु देय हरसहिय कही पुल के प्रभुगात. Oh Father, it's such a wonderful opportunity for me. Do not be gripped by moha type of love. With a joyous heart, let me go, give me permission. And while he was saying, his whole body was thrilled. He was not making it up. धन्य जनमु जगति जगति तलतासु पितहि प्रमोदु चरित सुनि जासु चारि पदारथ कर तलता के प्रिय पितु मातु मा प्राण समझा के. He describes the wonderful opportunity. His birth in this world is most blessed. Whose birth? By whose conduct Father, soul of the Father attains boundless joy. He who does something profoundly loving to the parents, mother and father, and for him, 4 purposes of life are in his hand. Now, try to understand. So many things have been brought into just 2 lines of the verse. First point, your love for parents. Extend it further, your love for forefathers. Pitri Rin. Every, according to Hindu culture, you have 5 debts to pay. Devarin, you are indebted to God. And how you pay that rin? By attaining enlightenment. You are indebted to sages and saints. How do you pay that rin? By your debt? By studying and following their teachings. You are indebted to forefathers. Your grandfather, great-great-grandfather, great-great-great-grandfather. All. You are indebted to the whole line. How do you pay that? If you do something that will delight those souls, something spiritual. And when you have developed love for God and you are moving on the path of enlightenment, you have promoted boundless love for all your forefathers. This point is brought into Bhakti Sutras of Narada, where Narada says, Modante pitaro nrityanti devata sanatha cheyam bhur bhavati. The moment a person follows the path that leads to God realization, and the moment that touches, because all this news goes into the higher world immediately because they have advanced technology. I'm joking. The moment it happens, the four souls of four fathers begin to dance with joy. So, if you want to really please your parents, develop love of God, develop the path that will lead you to liberation. And for attaining liberation, if you live, your life is purposeful. Otherwise, purposeless. The purpose of life is described in four ways, four fingers. Dharma, ethical value. Artha, material value. On ethical foundation, that should be your foundation, that should not be shaken. Be good, that you should not move away from. And then on the basis of that, create material value called artha. And next value is called kama. Kama means fulfillment of vital value. Vital value has many. If you are becoming a family person, how to have a good family, how to have good children, and how to deal with society, what can you contribute to society, all that. Because you are indebted to human beings for every little thing you have, every cloth you wear, every iPad you have. Countless people have sacrificed themselves. And you shouldn't just come and go. Do something to help. Or help people to pay off your debt. And final stage is called moksha, liberation. All four purposes are fulfilled when you attain jnana, knowledge of the self. So Rama is saying that I have the now the opportunity for all these four purposes. Ayasu pali janam phalupai, aihahu vegi ho rajai. I will obey your words, which you have given to Kaikeyi, and having attained the fruit of my life, success, speedily I will come back to you. Permit me. And let me go to Kaushalya, his own mother, to receive her blessings before he goes. And after meeting Kaushalya, he is going to come back to King Dasharatha. And then he will depart. As kahi Ram gavan tabakinha, bhup shokabasu utaru nadinha. Thus saying, Sri Rama didn't wait for the king even to say yes. He just went home. The king, overcome by grief, he said nothing. At this stage, the news broke for entire Ayodhya. First one or two people hear it, but then they go on saying others, and then go on saying others. 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 16, 16 becomes so. It's a geometrical progression. So entire Ayodhya is buzzing with that new news Rama is not going to be the king. He is going to forest. Bharata will be the king. Now at the mass level, handling this situation of something occurring which is good in itself, but at mass level, mass mind faces a lot of challenge. सुनी भाई विकल सकल नर नारी, बेली बिटप जिबि देखी दवारी. Men and women of Ayodhya all became exceedingly distressed, as if forest fire is coming to swallow up the entire Ayodhya. When you see fire coming, blazing fire, that can't be extinguished. What happens to any village or city facing blazing fire coming? All become agitated. Same way that agitation entered the heart of all. And when the fire begins to enter, beautiful trees and wonderful creepers, before your very eyes they begin to wither. सो जहाँ सुनाई धुनाई सिरुक सोई, बड़ विषाद नहीं धीरज होई. Same like fire, this news, Rama is going to forest. Whoever hears it immediately loses the luster of his face. And old style grief, you put your head back against anything nearby and express your frustration, banging the head. मुख सुखाहि लोचन श्रवहि, शोक न हृदय समाई. मनहु करुण रस खटकई, उतरी अवध बजाई. Faces, mouths dry up. Tears go on flowing from the eyes. The heart is filled with sorrow. Sorrow is, heart is overwhelmed with sorrow. As if Karunya ras, pathetic sentiment, is coming with a whole army, vast army. Not quietly. They're coming with big drums, beating, dum, dum, dum. मिलहि माझ विधि बात बेगारी, जहाँ तहाँ देहि कह कहीं गारी. यही पापिनी बूझिका परेऊ, छाई भवन पर पावक धरेऊ. Now this is a mass expression of generality of people. They are all grieving. And what they are saying, what a wonderful opportunity was coming. Our dream was going to be fulfilled. Rama was going to be the king. But suddenly, what happened to Creator's mind? He spoiled this whole thing. And they are all talking against Kaikeyi. It's the dirtiest word they could use for her. गाली दे रहा. this great sinner, what happened to her heart? Beautiful house was before her. Just now there has been a wonderful roofing, and she puts fire on it. You must realize this manda buddhi, dull-wit mind looks at this situation, and that's the reaction in the mind. Advanced mind, this is the most powerful development for Rama to bring out his glory. And not, in other words, any attainment in a disintegrated personality is not real attainment. But attainment based on integrated personality, that attainment cannot be worldly. Automatically that attainment becomes liberation, a revelation of who am I. But any attainment during disintegration, that's a form of illusion. Mirage type of attainment versus real attainment. Disintegration means your karma has not turned to karma yoga, your emotions have not followed bhakti, your will has not followed meditation, and your intellect remains trapped in a dull-wit state. It has not followed process of purification and transformation. And KK has brought that movement. Instead of them becoming satisfied in disintegrated state, KK's role is to put Rama's potential to move on. But what looks like something terrible, Rama has to go away, is in reality it is very profound. Also in a storyline, behind all that is gods who persuaded Saraswati Devi to sit on the tongue of Kaikeyi and Manthara and so forth. It's God-inspired work. पालव बैठी पेड़ यही कांटा सुकमहु शोक ठाट धरि ठाटा सदा राम यही प्राण समाना कारण कवन कुटिल पद उठाना. And they continue to scold Kaikeyi. Look at her dull-wit character. She is cutting the same branch on which she is seated. But figure out. If you are seated on a branch or cutting a head, there is no harm. But you are seated on the branch and cutting the branch, separating it from the tree, now you are going to be crushed. Shri Rama was always so dear to Kaikeyi. What happened to her mind? And with this, I will conclude. We are not going to story very fast, but that's the way things are. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukma Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyama Mritat Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashtidukha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Mritam Gamaya Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम ओम श्री रामाय नमः। ओम नमः शिवाय।